Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that was recently cast as Blanche Devereaux in the upcoming NBC reboot of Golden Girls. If you think that's something, how about our own Zach Zembrunnen as Dorothy Zvornak? Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of good times, let's go ahead and take a look at Tudor from Academy Games. That I made a Kickstarter preview video for back in March. The retail version of the game is out here, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at that right now. I want to go ahead and do a brief refresher on the rules, and then we'll go ahead and look and see what I think. In Tudor, 1 to 4 players take on the role of various courtiers in the court of Henry VIII. Now, you have different sections of the board. Of course, you have kind of the chamber area, the antechamber area, and then, of course, you have the throne room itself. And these are, of course, very different places where different things are going to happen. Now, beginning with the first player, players are going to begin to place their characters in these kind of waiting chairs outside, in the antechamber outside of the main chamber area. They're going to go ahead and kind of fill these up, or at least get all of their people out on the board, all of their meeples out on the board, or miniatures, as I'm using here in this video, on those seats. Then what you're going to do is actually have them enter the chamber. They're going to kind of move into the various chambers. And you're also going to place your lords in the chambers. Only chambers with lords will be able to be activated. So if there are already meeples or figures in those seats, when the new guys come in, they will be pushed out. They just kind of push ones that are already there out, so you can actually push opponents out of certain areas over the course of the game. Now, of course, there are many different actions in those chambers. You can try to get new cards. You can add some of your figures to the throne room. You can move figures in the throne room either forward or to the side, depending on what the action is. You can also have options to do certain actions from your hand player board. More on that later. But there's all sorts of different actions you can do. But what you're trying to do is move your figures forward in the throne room to the offices. Now, when they reach the office, that means that they get that office. They're seated in that office, and these are, Lord Privy Seal, Chancellor, etc., etc. They will get a ring. You can select one of the rings, and you place it on your cardboard hand player board. And that's important because where you place the rings will determine what kind of actions you will have options for later on. The more rings you have, the more figures you can place rings on, and that will open up more options for you to do later on. Now, as you're moving throughout the chamber, there are a number of tokens beneath you. Now, whichever space you land on, you take the kind of card token that's on there, but you also take the influence or intrigue token that's beneath it. It's a white or a black circular token. You will take that. But you will also take the card tokens from all of the spaces you went over. You won't take those intrigue or influence tokens. You'll just take the card tokens. You'll take those tokens and put them behind your player board. And where you landed, again, you'll take everything. And then what you'll do is you'll go back and you'll reseed the previous, all those, where you took all of the card tokens from, you'll put new card tokens. You reach into a bag, pull them out randomly, so these are always changing. That's important because when you're moving, wherever you move to, wherever you move through, you're going to have to discard cards of that color, of that type, in order to move through them. So that's very important if somebody is planning their move to go, from one place to another with a certain number of cards, and then somebody kind of leapfrogs them, moves over them. Those spaces are going to change, and that means the strategy of the first person, is also going to have to change accordingly. Now, the tables that have the actions on them in the chambers, they're divided into 2 sections. Your figure can do one from either side of the table. Once he's done, he moves back off of his seat toward the back of the room where he's now standing. Your lord, however, he can do both of them. So you kind of get different ways to do different things there. But once they have gone, you move them back behind their chair as well. Once everybody has activated all of their figures, and they've all moved back behind the chair, then the round is over. You do some basic cleanup, you move your guys back onto the chair, and you prepare for the next round. Now that is the basic mechanics of every turn, every round. But what you also need to know is there are different scoring conditions at the beginning of the game. You're going to pick kind of different scenarios, different ways things are going to play out, and different scoring conditions. So you're trying to play for different conditions throughout the game. Sometimes you're trying to collect more of those little card tokens, and depending on how you can score the card tokens there. There are other things that can come up. The influence things or the intrigue tokens become more powerful over the course of the game. Actually, having cards becomes more powerful over the course of the game. There's different ways you can score things. So depending on what you have chosen for your kind of scenario and your scoring, whoever kind of ends up with the most scores, which you keep with the tracker around the board, whoever scores the highest amount of points wins Tudor. So again, that's just a very brief rules overview. There's a lot more going on here in the game, but that's just kind of a brief overview. So let me just say, I reviewed this back in May. I did a preview video of it. And, I got the prototype copy, and, it was fine. It was a prototype copy, very obviously. And, I read through some of the rules and stuff, and, I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. It didn't look like it was really going to be my cup of tea. Again, I'm not a huge Eurogame guy. But my friends and I played it, and I got to tell you, we absolutely fell in love with it. We fell in love with the prototype, and I was so excited to see this come out in the retail version. So, I love the game. I'll just tell you that right now. This production... and let me just say, too, that was very pleasant when I could make a Kickstarter preview for a game that I've absolutely loved. And more often than not, I like the Kickstarter preview games I make videos for. But this one I loved, and I was so excited to talk about it because it was such a great game. Here, the production value is freaking awesome. This version, I'm playing with the miniatures. Now, you've also got... The game itself comes with kind of meeples, cubes, and stuff. The actual... miniatures thing you can get comes with minis and comes with the lords that are taller, and it's just a little bit more fun. It's just it looks better, I think, and it's just more fun to play with the minis here. Sometimes I prefer cubes. This one, I think the minis actually do a better job of representation than little wooden meeples or cubes would. A little more thematic, But it's just a beautiful game to look at. It's colorful, it's bright, and it's just there's a lot going on. I think they just did a fantastic job with the production on this game. It's Academy Games. They always make good production values. And just one thing before I move on, let me say this again. I am currently developing a game with Academy Games. So full transparency, full disclosure here. They did not in any way, shape, or form influence what I'm saying about this game, about Tudor. But just so you are aware, there is a relationship with Academy Games. Again, having said that, though, I freaking love this game. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is here. I am prepared to go so far as to say Tudor, I have to think about this because there's one or two others that are really in contention, but Tudor may be my favorite Euro game. Again, I'm going to have to think about that. There's a few others I will have to weigh in that balance. But really, I'm playing this the other day, and I'm thinking, I love this game. This is just so fun. And it's quick. This is a quick game. This is not a long game at all. I mean, again, it can depend on the scenario. You can determine length, but generally it is boom, 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 boom. There's some iconography you got to learn, but you get it down pretty quick, and things are well explained in the rule book. It's solid, and it's fun, and it's interesting, and it's mean. This is a mean game. You can really screw people over here with... when you change those card tokens up, it can really screw other players up, and I freaking love games that do stuff like that. It's a fun game. There's some strategy here. You can, again, screw people by knocking them out of the chambers, and you get to screw people over, so it's awesome. Really, seriously, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Euro game. I love Tudor from Academy Games. Recommendation is this is a no-brainer. If you even remotely like Euros, you're going to want to buy Tudor. This one needs to be on your shelf. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and I got to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. It's something I've meant to say for quite a while now, but thank you for being a friend. Traveling down that road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal, and a confidant. And if I threw a party, invited everyone I knew, you would see the biggest gift, it'd be from me. And the card attached would say play more board games.
May somebody have